Okay, so thank you so much for staying with KTN News. Of course, you're on Youth Cafe. Make sure the hashtag that you're using online to engage with us is hashtag Youth Cafe. Tweet us at KTN News, at Zinzi_K, and at Brian Asilian. Of course, as well, as always, before we jump into the conversation for the evening, allow me to address to introduce you to our panel. Closer to me is none other than Edith Wangare. She is a businesswoman. Thank you so much for coming to the show. And of course, next to Edith is a man who needs no introduction, but he's Holy Dave, popularly rather known as Holy Dave, David Mathengi, who is a musician and the co-founder of Mathengi Foundation. Asante sana for coming.
Thanks for having me.
And
Chiki saidi yangu niko na wase wa nguvu sana. Kuna boys wangu anaitwa Kevin Omondi, umsi anadu IT ni studio. Alafu pia hapa hivi niko na youth leader anaitwa Wanja Maina. Karibu sana.
Thank you sana. Asante.
All right, so let's just jump straight into this. I'm sure we all heard and saw the manifestos being launched earlier this week. Monday we had Jubilee, on Tuesday NASA followed equally, and there's a lot of promises that were put in this. Kev, I'm sure because you're an IT student, you saw what they're going to do with IT in Kenya. David, I really want to hear your thoughts on the education aspect and really in general. But allow me to start with Edith. Edith, there was the issue of Jubilee promising that now people are the university students. They will get opportunities to internships that will be, that will pay you.
Yeah.
And those ones who will come, or rather those ones who came before Jubilee, we all know the hassle of getting an internship.
No.
And the aspect of not being paid. As a businesswoman, do you think that will compromise work ethics of young people?
In line with this and in line with what Jubilee is saying that they want to do with the internships for 100,000 young people, I would say straight off from the back, it sounds like a good idea. But my only question is, you've given internships, then what? Okay, so fine, we've gotten the internship, we're being paid 15,000, fine. And then what happens afterwards? I think my main concern and my main issue with Jubilee was, why are you releasing a manifesto? Give us a scorecard. They had a very good manifesto in 2013. Why are you giving us one again now in 2017? The young people don't want just internships. They are looking for a future. So don't give them 100,000 internships. Tell them about how you will build their future. What will you do for them as young people? So I want to see more beyond just giving them momentary relief, more than just giving them daily bread. What are we carrying on into the future? Because fine that they're pushing for development, but is it sustainable? And that is the question that I have.
I like what Edith has said there. For the Jubilee government, because it is the current government and it's the leading government, they should not be showing us manifesto. They should be showing us the scorecard. And before we even continue this conversation, online, actually, we are asking what determines which candidate you will vote for? What will determine which candidate you will vote for? Is it the manifesto? Is it their track record? Is it the political party they belong to? And is it their tribe, all right? So the issue of Jubilee showing us, what's the term I'm looking for, but their track record.
Yes.
Wanja, I want to hear from you because you are a youth leader, all right? Do you think that even young people are paying attention and calling for their agency to put politicians to the task and ask them, listen, as my member of parliament, as my governor, as my senator, you promised me A, B, C, D. Where is it? Why do we have to wait for 5 years to ask for a track record? Your thoughts?
Thank you very much, Zinzi, for having us, actually. And I think the young people have been very, very politically active. And if you really want to know that they have been politically active, probably you'll see the number of young people who actually vied. Whether they won or not, they actually vied. And that's a good start. Looking at Jubilee government and looking at NASA, probably I want to play the devil's advocate and say, even the fact that they mentioned young people in their manifesto in itself tells you that it's a start and we are going somewhere. Of course, you could have seen, I compared the two manifestos. NASA manifesto was very keen on issues like agriculture, environment, agribusiness. Of course, Jubilee, on the other hand, was more or less on IT. CS Moshero would talk about creating 10 million jobs. But now the question should be, why would I want to be in NASA and not in Jubilee? And is there a way that the young people can follow up on these promises? Because now, it feels so good to read and see that Jubilee has increased, from 4,000 to 35,000 young people on the NYS program. Yes. Those are very good figures. But my question, should we wait for 5 years, or should we have like a middle term way of seeing how far we are maybe after a year? So that would be some of the issues I would be keen to see. Yeah.
What do you think on the issue of track record and us young people having to wait for 5 years to ask, have you done what it is that you promised?
Well, actually, setting at it a gav or anything, but the manifesto, the Jubilee manifesto, every single place ilikuwa inaanza na our achievements, and then they will go to our plan. But so yes, they have tried to show what they have achieved, but then my issue is how they're jumping from what they've achieved to what they're planning. How are you coming from almost 0 jobs, because me, I don't see those jobs which have been created, to 1.3 annually? You know what I mean, yeah? You're talking about giving young people 10,000 digital jobs. Easy digital jobs, sijui kama mnaziona. Hao ndio watu wanafight mablogger. Anyway, they're talking about a target of 750,000 digital jobs, and right now they're current cohort has only 10,000. So mi napiga tu hesabu hapo hivi naona between 10,000 and 750,000 naona ma 1.3 nasema
But maybe if I could chip in on the issue, I'm sorry. But I think if you look at the NASA and the Jubilee manifesto, one of the things that they are very keen on is actually the creative economy. You don't need to have an 8 to 5 to be an artist, which is a beautiful thing. Yes. Of course, they are talking about, I mean, with this 1 year or 1.5 years internship program, I think it's a good idea. If the young person gets into the system, one of the things is that they are learning the tricks of the job, and probably they could even be self-employed. I think the fact that both manifestos are coming from the white collar to the blue collar, I think that's a good start, in my opinion.
Okay, all right.
Hiyo ni fiti, unasema story ya blue collar, white collar, lakini amoni kama education system yetu imefail. First of all, wamesema watapeana free secondary education, si ndio? Hiyo ni fiti, lakini free primary education imewaka.
Before we even come to second. Okay, let me hear first of all from Kevo, because he's already a university student. And I also want to hear the issue of IT jobs, because you are an IT student. Before David comes and jumps on the issue of education. Clear here.
As education is
I was so happy when I had this guy speaking about the IT stuff, at least for me to consider, But at the same time, I just feel like I was disappointed with the government of Kenya, because these guys, should I say the previous manifesto or what? I can say, according to me, they have implemented like 20%. And for the 20%, we have 70% in the 20% full of scandal. The NYS stuff, NYS thing, yani...
Unakuuliza unaona education sector yetu imewes make.
Acha
nijibu HD tuchiki maneno.
Wacha David.
Ama kwanza.
Wewe rukia kwanza
It depends. It depends. First of all, it's even good that we're discussing a manifesto here. Kitambo hatukuwa discuss hizi vitu ama ni mimi?
No, it's true.
Ilikuwa tu composition poa imewekwa kwa net ndio walami wacheki.
Thank you. The fact that we're questioning this as young people on a Friday evening tumekaa hapa hivi tukidiscuss manifestos na watu wanatusikiza, this is a step in the right direction. Now whether primary school free primary school education may work or not, again, that's tricky. They're providing tuition, providing free tuition, but there's so many things in society that support education. The Twaweza report 2014, it's about education. Ilisema only 2% of public primary schools have libraries in Kenya. Exactly. 2%. So these kids, what are they reading? Tunakimbilia kuwapatia tablets just because we promised tablets.
And but for the tablets thing, hiyo yenyewe naweza sema ni PR, because I've never seen any tablet in my hood.
Not even that.
That's
They'll give kids tablets, they'll take pictures, but the kid has a tablet and he's sitting on the floor.
And does not have uniform, has torn uniform.
Exactly.
They cannot lift their hand up in class because watachekelewa, wako na kipacha, they cannot walk to the blackboard. And so many other needs that support education.
If I interrupt, on top of it, utapata, these guys are saying laptop thing, education, but the teachers are always uko nje. Maandamano, they're not sorting them. These guys work on njaa kila siku.
Underpaid.
So, what do you expect the kid to perform kama mwalimu is not well?
Okay, Edith wants to jump on that.
Because I think I want to compare the two manifestos. NASA is saying that they want to get rid of the tablets, the computers, and then they want to have more books. Jubilee is sticking to what they've always said. Now, my only concern is, I like this thing about Jubilee. They say, let's go technological at an early age. And you'll find in countries like the UK, coding is taught from 5 years old. So in Kenya, we're giving a child a pen, and then they're going to go through university, having not even used a laptop in class, and then you expect them to compete. How? So I understand Jubilee wanting to introduce computers and the tablets and the likes. I just question priority. However, with NASA, my issue is this, We've provided free primary, now we're providing free secondary, fine. And then now we're saying that we're going to have jobs and like you've talked about the internship now for graduates, which is fine. I like the idea of internships, but we're telling people to be entrepreneurial. If you don't start to culture the spirit of entrepreneurship, it will not happen. And I say this as an entrepreneur because I've created 4,000 jobs for these young people in Kenya. And I say this because I have the facts. You cannot tell me about entrepreneurship and then lock me on a desk 8 to 5 in the name of internship so that I can get money. You cannot contradict.
Ndio, after high school, after hizi vitu zote, after tertiary studies, tunahitaji vocational training. How many people wanatoka huko nje wanakama wanaambiwa haya umekaa umepata job basi KTN wewe ni journalist, kamera ndio hii, unatumwa kwa field, hujui hata kuwasha hiyo kama nje. Hebu niambie, what do you think? Hizi manifestos hatujaona wakisema watafanya nini vocational training?
Of course, actually by the way, kama uliangalia, kama ulisikiza manifesto ikilaunchiwa, na mimi mwenyewe nilikuwa manifesto ya Jubilee ikilaunchiwa, CS Matiang'i na si wote watu wengi wanampendanga. CS Matiang'i alisema siku hizi help inapatia wale watu wa TVETs. Na hata hivyo mimi vile nilikuwa naona history ya education kusema tu kweli, unajua kuna wale watu wako na kapesa wanatakanga kwenda private schools. Lakini mimi najua ule mtoto wako na shida, mama yao hana chochote, hata akipewa education gani wala gani, huyo mtoto anataka kusoma, hataki kujua kama ni quality hapo nyumbani kwa sababu hana uniform. But anyway, away from all this debate, mimi swali yangu ni simple. Did they sit with the young people in a round table and ask them, dear young people, what are your priorities? Sababu ukiangalia ya NASA inasema young people in sports, young people in this. But are those our priorities? I would be happy if they had a young people committee, Jubilee and NASA, to ask them, so here you are, okay, all right. Is this what we delivered? Yes. Are these your priority? Because you just can't come, maybe that sports is not a priority to me. But as much as probably I might have a political affiliation, I'd like to appreciate the manifesto of NASA. The manifesto of NASA was very explicit. It says that it will give a special consideration to young people with a disability, which was missing in the manifesto of Jubilee, which I think is a good thing. But generally, I would say that I failed to see the first-hand voice of young people in these both manifestos.
Now, I have a question over here, right? And I'll use education as an example since I've noticed it's the biggest conversation here. You look at Singapore and Kenya. Our economies at some point were literally at the same level. Experts would tell you and historians that the one thing that caused Singapore to skyrocket to where they are is when you change your education, right? So my question is now, we're seeing this IT jobs, we're seeing the issue of even rent being taken away from the NASA manifesto, we're seeing the issue, all these other promises. Are they far-fetched? Is it just a dream? Or is it doable?
I think it is for me, the NASA manifesto sounded like a 7-course meal when I know I will get to Galiskuma. But, no, it sounds very good for an educated person. When you read it, it is very, it sounds nice. But yes, position poor. Lakini implementation, I question. Why? I'm looking at Kenya as a whole economy, So fine, we're rated 3rd for most improved country. We agree.
That's according to the government.
Yes, according to the government, the ones that we voted in. We're also rated one of the top when it comes to for business, people coming in for business. In terms of FDI in the whole of Africa, we're number 1. Fine. Corruption, we are leading. When you look at our debt, we are at 4.3 trillion. When we started at 1.3, we have tripled. And then you're coming and you're telling me that you want to do all of these amazing things. With what money? And we have debt.
Okay, before we go to street sense, I really want to hear what Holiday has to say.
You know what, we're talking so many things. I even forgot.
Okay, but is it just
oh,
a
you're
dream?
asking whether it's far-fetched.
Is it, yeah.
First of all, viewers, I'm not anti-government, anti-Jubilee. I give credit where it's due. I'd like to, first of all, recognize the efforts that Matiang'i has made in the education sector to bring sense, to bring credibility to it. So that one I'd like to give to the Jubilee government for doing it. So we're not far-fetched. As long as we have such leaders, you know, who are ready to crack the whip and stand up. You know, two leaders that I remember of in Kenya's recent history is Mishuki and Matiang'i. Ask yourself why.
Maybe I could also add,
You know what I mean?
the manifesto of NASA was called The Road to Kenya's Dream. Road to Kenya's Dream.
Yes.
That was a theme like in the manifesto. Probably it's canon, maybe. But probably so now you get that it's a dream, as you said. While that of Jubilee was continuing Kenya's transformative agenda. And in any case, maybe the context could be different for Jubilee, who are actually the incumbents, and NASA, who are in the opposition and they want to come to government. So maybe that's why Jubilee is keen on continuing what they have started, while NASA is keen on promises, and they are just saying mambo ya mabadiliko and change and so on.
So wacha turudi kwa hiyo conversation, because each and every week si udunda mtaani tunasikia opinions za wasena. This time round Zinzi tulikuwa wapi?
We went to Kakamega and we went to Uasin Gishu County.
Kakamega, Uasin Gishu wako ndani ya nyumba, wacha tusikie kile walia kusema kuhusu history.
The two manifestos that I've read in the newspapers, there's not much big difference between the two, simply because it's like they're just tackling the same issues of corruption, the same issues of construction of infrastructure and improvement, the same issue of political unity.
Both Jubilee na NASA, kitu ambazo zina address majorly, zote zina address issues za vijana. Kwa maana ukiangalia Jubilee kwanza unaona kuwa kuna issue ya internship ya vijana, wale wenye wanamaliza shule wanapewa kazi at least 15,000 per month. Alafu ukiangalia NASA nayo na ina address issue ya vijana empower them, wanapata kazi kidogo wakisonga.
Jubilee, they have just come up with the manifesto that will improve the standard of living of common mwananchi, but NASA wamejaribu kurudia.
On the side of NASA, I can say their manifesto is awesome compared to the other party of Jubilee. The reason being that if you see what Jubilee told us the last election, their manifesto has not been published now.
The PDF. Hapo umesikia vile watu wamesema huko hivyo mtaani, na huko ni Kakamega na Uasin Gishu, lakini hapa ndani ya studio bado hii topic bado ni moto. Ndio maana tuna slide in. Niko na swali moja nataka tu kuuliza sahi on food security. Mazejo imekuwa ni issue moja bigi. Both parties, hata independents pia wamesoma manifesto yao, because kuna watu wengine pia wanataka kuwa president, kina Abdu Badida and some few others akina Nyaga. So hebu niambieni, what do you think about what they said on food security? Na tuanze na Jubilee, because Jubilee wamekuwa gava. Wali promise last time walikuwa na 6-point manifesto, wakaongea about security ya food na wakasema wata make sure that Kenya kuna food. Niambie unafilaje kuhusu hiyo story?
Asante. Hiyo story ya food security kwanza watu wameiongea sana, especially juu ya bei ya unga, sijui mahindi ya Mexico, sijui nini maunga. Lakini mimi naona history ya chakula, kama mimi niko na purchasing power, kama niko na kapesa, siwezi complain unga ikikuwa 100. So issue nao ni pesa zikuwe kwa mifuko na kwa mikono ya watu. Kama unga itaenda 100, mtu akuwe na afford. So mimi siwezi sema ati unga ishuke ama ipande. Mimi nasema kama naweza afford, hakuna shida. That is my opinion.
Okay. Food ndo kila kitu. Unajua kama hujakula hizi barabara hizo matenda wanapeana, wanaenda kuchukua maloni China wapi? Hata kuwa na hiyo effort. So mimi unajua mojiuliza, mbona ndio wachukue loan ya ku extend barabara lakini watu wanakufa? Unasikia? Alafu unapata at the same time hawa watu wametulia tu, hiyo pesa imekuja huko, au ndio wanakula kwa mfuko. Ikishaharibika sasa ndio unasikia tumeagiza kutoka mahali fulani na kuja, unapata, in which that's so unfair.
And that's and Kevo, you have a point, because if you look at how we choose to use 200 shillings a day, we all use it differently. Someone in them that 200 shillings, they are budgeting literally rent and breakfast or you know,
3 days.
3 days.
3 days.
3 days.
In my hood, 3 days.
3 days. Holiday, your issue on that food security.
The cost of living right now is ridiculous, you know, and there's no way we can sugarcoat it. You can't say it's because of drought. We can't blame drought. Someone should be fired somewhere. Kwani we're not predicting weather patterns.
Project is where?
Galana project is where, and it's still being it's still under test. Even ndo anasema, how many acres tulipromiswa by now zitakuwa under irrigation? Is that the case? What's the success rate? Unajua? So man, hapa tunapimo, you know.
I think issue hapo, issue na story anasema ni hawa watu for the past 4 years wamekuwa kicheza politics. So hii time ya mwisho ndio umemwona anaanza kufanya kazi, ukinotice wana launch vitu mingi. In which wanafanya kitu akina Joshua wanataka. Akina Joshua utaka wakikosoa wanaongea. We play politics, then siku election ikifika wananchi wanaona the government didn't work.
Before we come with closing remarks because of time, there's something that even Holiday has said, the issue of high cost of living that has begun this part of the conversation. InfoTrack today actually released a document showing what are the key issues that Kenyans are looking for. And even the cost of living was the first one. It was top with 27% in regards to the other issues. You know, food security then followed unemployment. So you can tell how they're all connected. And it's an entire twist of events. But I really want to ask this one question as we close up, because our Twitter poll question today is, what determines which candidate you will vote for? Manifesto, track record, political party, and tribe. We are literally 9.9 million people, young people, between the ages of 18 and 34, who will stand on the queues come August 8th. The issue of tribalism, the tribe card. It is real and it's there, and we still see it in our day-to-day conversation. If there's a generation that needs to change that, it needs to be us. I need to hear very quickly from you guys what you think about that.
About the tribe card, I would say that this is not an issue as such in our current generation. For people in this age, between the age brackets of 16 to about 25, because I'm also in university, Riara University, it's not really an issue for tribalism. I won't not sit next to you because you are Luya or because you are Luo. The issue comes in because it is what has been passed down. It is a mindset. It is the same way currently the government is passing on the mindset of, I don't know if you've seen, they said that they want to have one industry in every county, which sounds nice, but my question is, are we in an industrialization age or in a computer age anyway? So, but we have this thing where a mentality is being passed down through generations. So my issue is not really the young people, it's young people who are you listening to.
Holiday, I would really want to hear from you, because you have an impact and an influence because of the work that you do. What is your thought on tribalism?
I mean, at the end of the day, nja ya Mjaluo, nja ya Mkikuyu, nja ya Mkamba, it's hitting all of us. In my latest song, Ushai Notice, nasema supigana damu ina trickle down, but wakipata kiti, hakuna kitu ina trickle down. You know, at then, iko sawa, So, yes, your rela aliingia, alipata kiti fulani, but wome benefitaje, you know what I mean? Yeah? And I'd like to address the issue of the number of young people. You know, wanasema tuko between 18 and 35, tuko 9.9 something, 9 million, but young people, those are going to remain just but numbers if we don't come out. And if we don't vote for leaders with integrity, zitabaki bado numbers, you know. So let's look at integrity. Let's not even look at tribe. Let's not look at parties. Nasikia wanasema zui 6-piece suit, sijui nini, zui Jubilee juu mpaka chini, NASA juu mpaka chini, hapana. Hakuna kitu kaa hiyo, wanatuenjoy. Si kama mavijana tumeamua, tunavote ule leader tunataka, kaya ni independent, ye ni Jubilee, ye ni NASA, ye ni NASA, yani whatever, tunavote hivi.
Bila nasema independent, at least na philosophy media pia wapati hawa sa wengine hata, kwa sababu musiaga tu mwalimu akikuja interview, sijaisikia manifesto yake hao wengine, unajua mimi nasiaga tu kina Joshua na kina hawa sawa PR, unajua. So at least watu wengine pia manifesto zao zisomwe huku nje. At least mtu hapa nje atapata ile chance a decide. Vile sasa unajua mimi na hiyo PDF ya NASA na nini.
Okay, Wanja, before Asali takes us to Art Corner, your issue of tribalism, I want to hear your thoughts.
Thank you very much. I think vile Holiday ameroga mstari, hata mimi nitasema Juliani amesema tusibleed ndio wa lead. Kwa hivyo part ya kwanza ni kusema regardless ya tribe yako, by the way sina shida na wewe hata kama ni Kikuyu. Hata hivyo ma politician au ndio wana insight hizi vitu. Niulize kwa nini? Si tuko sawa, hatuna ubaya, mara mtu anasema watu wa tribe ndio wamechukua mashamba yenu. Hizo vitu delicate na hizo vitu sensitive. So kuna chapter 6 inaongea about integrity ya public officer. Ule mtu anataka kuelektiwa, ache utu tu mambo tuna spark tu vita na tu vitu kama uto. Lakini pia mavijana wajiulize, kama hauna internship na wewe ni Mkikuyu na wewe mwingine ana internship ni Mkale, si mko na shida the same. Kwa hivyo mimi hujiuliza, mbona watu huwa wako gullible hivyo, ati mtu anakuja anawaambia vitu zingine hauna, unasikia mnapigana mtu juu ya shamba na hata wewe hauna shamba. So please wacha tujue hii country ni yetu. Na please najua nataka kunika short, lakini wacha niongee 1 second. Ukiangalia Waki report ya 2007 alisema young people were highly perceived to have been actively participants kwa ile post election. Kwa hivyo hata kama kutatokea noma 2017 na Siombei, young people ndio wako na ile energy hata ya kufight. Kwa hivyo sisi tusifight, hatuna haja ya kufight. Vote yetu ndio fight yetu. Thank you.
Aseli, what your first on At Corner today?
Nakwambia hii conversation ni moto, lakini lazima tuende tukacheki ma artist wanasemaje. At Corner yo patia wasi opportunity ya kuji-express via artistic. This week niliweza kukutana na tattoo artist mmoja kali sana anaitwa Solo, na hii tuliita Skin Canvas because ni all about tattoos. Check your story.
Kenye inanifanyaga nikuwe na haja ya go ahead na kuendelea. Mimi nili grow up nikijua spirit yangu inakonga tu, drive yangu inakonga tu like kugongwa. Juu nikitulia mazi star. Lazima tu msaya kuja niambie ni aje. We, umekaa, hebu hauna client leo. Nitafeel nikaa juu msaya amekuwa akifanya kitu huko nje na mimi niko hapa. Na feeling offended nikiambiwa juu hujadua ene, so inanifanya na wako. And then watu ni inspire inakuwa watu mabeste zangu, everyone. So zingine clients wananiangusha, wananiambia ni aje juu tulia, muzushiana na wasi huku nje, lakini kuzushiana nao inakuwa ile sijaongea naye, but muzusha akisikia Kenya nasema sijaongea na client ama msi enda anajua uchungu yenye na go through. Mimi weka kila kitu hapa. This is where everything goes down. We have the first of all, you must be safe when you're doing tattoos, man. Gloves, number 1. You have to have them. Number 2, this is the power supply. It regulates power. Unaweza ongeza steam ama kupunguza.
All right, so we're going to save that specific episode for At Corner next week because of time. But very quickly, let me just read some of your feedback. There's one amazing tweet here that I like from Martin. You say, I will vote for change this time round. No tribe, no money. No money things, no party manenos, okay? And Joanne, you say, awesome topic. We need to look at individual politicians as well, aside from political party. Ladies and gentlemen, as always, thank you so much. You guys made this conversation possible.
Thanks
like Holly Dave said, on a Friday night, the youth are discussing manifestos.
Exactly. Kenya is changing.
Kenya is changing.
Kenya is Marwa.
Okay, yeah. All right. So we need to make space for Friday briefing. Thank you so much, everyone, for tuning into KTN News. My name is Zinze Kibiku.
And the hottest man in East and Central Africa, Brian Aseli. Kama kawaida si usema change haikujagi Friday peke yake, change ni kitu ya kila siku. Good night.